Hi, my name is Chris Ryan and welcome to the stunning Las Colinas Golf Resort here in Spain. Welcome to this brand new 5-part video series, Back to Basics. As the name suggests, we are going back to the start. We're going to be looking at putting. We're then going to move on to chipping, to bunker play. Fourth is going to be just looking at the swing, and then we're going to finish up by looking at the driver. And we're just going to be covering the basics. What is the shot? What should the ball be doing? How should you set yourself up? What clubs should you use? How are the clubs different? What should your swing be doing? We're going to be covering the basics. This is going to be absolutely fantastic for any of you who are newer to the game, certainly for those golfers out there with higher handicaps, or even just for golfers out there who are, of a good level, but just looking for a bit of a refresher or a recap through the bag. So we're going to be going from the short game through to the long game. Hopefully there's something in there that can help you. Video 1, follows now, is all about putting. So welcome to Las Colinas Golf Resort here in Spain, and welcome to this first video in this 5-part series called Back to Basics. So as you can see, we are starting on the putting green, and we're going to work our way within this series back from the green to chipping, to bunkers, to the swing, and then back to what you might want to do off the tee with your driver. So the first thing here on the putting green would be to just understand, first of all, what the ball is doing, or what we should be trying to get the ball to do, how the club is different, and then how we have to set ourselves up around the golf ball in order to make those things happen. So this is the only shot in golf where we really intentionally get the ball to roll. Now when I say roll, I mean roll as in with topspin. So this ball is going to be the only shot that you hit on the golf course where the ball rolls along the ground with topspin. Every other shot that you hit, whether it be with an iron, whether it be with a chip, a wood, will have some amount of backspin on it, even though it will be less as the loft of the club gets lower. So we're really looking to get this ball to roll along the ground. Now what that really means is that we have to be able to then judge the slopes that are on that green. Is this ball going to bend from left to right? Is it going to bend from right to left? Is it uphill? Is it downhill? And that's really something we don't really have to factor in when we're hitting shots from the fairway, let's say, through the air. So there's a lot of skills that we need on the putting green that we don't need for the rest of the game. Many golfers or many experts of the game will say putting is almost a game within a game. There's lots of different skills that you're going to need. So I've got myself a putt here, which is probably around about 20 feet. I've had a little look around it. I believe it's a little bit from left to right. So that's what I believe the putt is going to do. I now need to get that ball to roll along the ground, take that break, and hopefully finish somewhere near the hole. Now, because we want the ball to roll on the ground as opposed to going through the air, we really have a club which is designed to help that happen. This golf club is very, very different in design to any other club that is in your golf bags. Let's go through some of the differences. The first thing would be the loft that's on the club. Now, initially, when you take a look at a putter, you'd be forgiven for thinking it had 0 degrees of loft, as in a perfectly flat face. Most putters have actually got around about 4 degrees of loft. There's a reason why, that will come to that in a moment. But you will also notice that the lie angle of the putter is very different. By the lie angle, we mean the angle formed between the sole of the golf club and the club shaft. Now that lie angle very simply means that when I place the golf club on the ground behind the ball and I try and get the sole of the putter to sit flush to the ground, the grip is very close to the club head. What I mean by that is that any other club in the bag, the grip would be much further away from the club head, causing you to stand further from the golf ball. So the lie angle of this putter dictates to me that I'm probably going to be standing much closer. Depending on the sort of fitting you have in your putter, this will also be probably the shortest club in your golf bag. The reason for that is we're not looking to generate speed or power, we're looking for something with control. And we're looking to get that ball generally over a shorter distance than we would the other clubs in our bag. So the fact that we have a club which has got very little loft, we have a lie angle which dictates that I'm going to be standing very close to the golf ball, and we have a putter which is very, very short, which is going to give me a little bit of control. So we can see straight away that the putter is very different to every other club in the bag. And it's important that you understand how this putter is designed, because that putter is what is going to create that roll on that golf ball. Now we did say that there was a little bit of loft on the golf club. What that means is that when your ball is on the green, it will always be sat in a slight indentation. The loft on the putter will just get that ball slightly airborne for the first maybe couple of inches, foot of its putt, depending on how long the putt is you're hitting, and then it will have this roll along the ground. Now, the terminology that we use in putting is very important as well. We're looking to roll the ball towards the hole, maybe even into the hole. And I would like golfers to use that terminology, looking at the idea of rolling the ball towards the hole, as opposed to hitting the golf ball. Certainly the golfers that I see, early on who think that we're hitting the putt tend to have a little bit too much of a hit in the stroke. I want you to think very much about rolling the ball up to the hole and then hopefully in the hole. So that's what the ball should do. So let's cover what you should be doing as the golfer in terms of what your expectations are. Now, this hole I'm on here is a par 4. That really means that we should be taking 4 shots to get the ball from the tee into the hole. That would be obviously a very elite level. You may well be a handicap golfer and that would be different. But if we're looking to make a par, the perfect way to make a par would be to hit your shot from the tee to the fairway, from the fairway to the green, and then 2 putts. So in order to play, let's call it a perfect hole where you shoot par, you're allowed to have 2 putts per green. Over 18 holes, that's obviously 36 putts. So really the idea on the putting green, especially if you're a newer golfer, is really just to make sure that your first putt gets pretty close to make sure your second putt is much, much easier. Obviously, if the ball goes in, that's a bonus, and that's always what we're trying to do, but we don't need to do that in order to play golf. You could shoot a perfect round of level par having 2 putts on every hole. When we get very close, yes, we're expecting to hold those putts, but from distance, we're really looking to get the right kind of direction and the right kind of distance to hopefully leave ourselves a fairly simple tap-in. So that is what the ball is doing, that is what the putter is designed like, and that is what your expectations should be like. So let's go through what you're going to do in terms of your setup and how you hold the club. We're then going to come to some drills that you might like to do with the putter to give yourself some of the skills that you're going to need. So the first thing we'd really like to look at is how your hands are placed on the golf club. That would make sense. Our hands are the only part of our body to touch the golf club. Now, again, like we said, the putter is different to the other clubs in the bag. The grip or the hold is different to the other clubs in the bag as well. Let's first of all talk about our top hand. That would be my lead hand. When I take my grip with my full swing, let's say my 6-iron, my driver, whatever it may be, I really want the grip to be held very much in the fingers of my lead hand. And you can see that when I take my hand on, my fingers point back towards my legs. The reason I do that is because that is going to allow my wrists to hinge or cock in the golf swing. I don't need that with putting. I'm not looking to generate some speed or some distance. So really, we want the putter to run a lot more through the lifeline of the hand. And you can see here as when I place my hand to the grip, the fingers point more down towards the ground rather than more towards my knees. So I'm going to really be going through my index finger, through the lifeline of my hand, my fingers are going to wrap around, and my thumb is going to sit nicely on top. I want to try and mirror that with my trail hand. So again, I don't really want my trail hand to be going in this fashion. I want my trail hand to be going much more fingers down towards the ground, palm facing the target, and I'm going to fit my hand around it. Now the thumb will fit onto the top, and I really want you to just try and find a comfortable position with your fingers on your trail hand. The most common option would be to have the fingers on the grip and the index finger over the outside. We call this a reverse overlap putting grip. And we really want the grip pressure to be incredibly light when we're putting to get some real nice feel through those hands. So if we were to take the putter away, and I just said to a golfer, I want you to simulate a putting stroke without the putter. Generally speaking, what we would do is we'd go palms together and the fingers would point towards the ground. And that's a great way to think about your grip. We want the palms to face and the fingers to be down towards the ground. We don't want the palms facing away from us, or we don't want the palms facing towards us. This would be a little bit more like we would tend to see from the full swing. So the best way for you to apply your hands generally is to apply the left hand first, very much through the lifeline of the hand. Place the trail hand to try and mirror that. Fingers go underneath the index finger on the lead hand, and there we have our putting grip. Now, distance from the ball as a guide will be dictated by the lie of the putter. We've already said that the lie angle is going to enable me to stand much closer to the golf ball. I want you to initially just let that putter dictate how far away you stand from the ball. You can see how I've got the putter nice and flat to the ground. I then want to build my stance around that handle and place my hands on accordingly. You will notice, hopefully, that I have got the golf ball very, very fractionally forward of the centre of my stance. We would like to ideally hit the golf ball as the putter is starting to slightly ascend, work away from the ground. That's going to help with how we roll the golf ball. So having the ball slightly forward in the stance is going to be absolutely key. As far as your weight distribution goes, I want you to feel 50-50. Maybe if you weren't 50-50, a little bit on that lead side, but 50-50 is a good guide. Notice how my posture is such that I have got some flex in my arms. I don't want to stand tall and have my arms dead straight. I want to be nicely bent over the golf ball, a little bit of flex in my knees, a nice amount of bend over from my hips, and notice how I'm not really conscious of getting my posture nice and straight. Again, this would be what we would tend to see from the full swing. We're not so bothered with the putting. We want to get a nice comfortable posture. Don't be afraid to let that back round out, and don't be afraid to let that head point down towards the ground. Arms are nicely flexed, and that would be my address position to start this putting from. Now, when we move the putter, we really want to try and eliminate any excess wrist action this way. You can see how the club head is traveling a fair distance, yet the grip end of the club is not. My shoulders aren't, so I'm using a lot of wrist action in this putting stroke. We want to really feel that the putting stroke comes from the upper body, from the shoulders and from the chest. The hands remain very passive, and the shoulders and the chest rotate back and rotate through. You can see here how the hand of the golf club is moving a much greater distance versus this little demonstration we did before. So we really want to feel that the bigger muscles are being used. They're controlling the pace of the putter. And this is where we can really start to have that idea of I'm trying to roll this ball to the hole. I'm never trying to hit the golf ball to the hole. So let me go ahead and hit a putt to this hole, say about 20 feet. I've got it just off the left, so let me go through this routine. We'll see if we can get this ball somewhere near that hole. Give myself a fairly simple tap in, and you never know, might get lucky, it might drop in. So, got my setup correct, nice and relaxed. And it might go a bit right. Oh, and it just broke after the hole. So I would be very, very happy with that because the pace that I hit the putt on was very good. I believed it was going to move a little bit earlier than it did. It almost broke after the hole. But in terms of what we said at the start, that would be an absolutely fantastic putt. I've left myself a really short one. I shouldn't have too much trouble knocking that one in. Just one other point to note before we go through some drills that you can do to help you with your putting. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to really keep my lower body as still as I can. And hopefully you will have noticed that on that putt. Yes, I'm using my shoulders and my chest to rock back and through, but notice how my rest of my body is very, very still. I want to try and eliminate any kind of movement in the lower body. Any kind of movement in the lower body is going to change the direction the putter is moving in. It's often going to change where the putter is pointing at impact as well. So let me hit another putt and then we can go through some drills that are going to help you with the skills that you need. So let's go a little bit further to the right this time. Okay, and it might break this time. Okay, so that time I got the line perfect, but I didn't get the pace, so it was a little bit short. But there's a great example of, you know, basically the skills that you need to hole a putt. You need to be able to get the right direction and you need to be able to get the right distance. You can see on that particular one, I got the direction, I didn't get the distance. So let's go through now a couple of little exercises, a couple of little drills that you can do in practice, which are going to help you perform better on the putting green. So we've now set up 3 pretty simple drills that I think you can do in your practice, which is going to help you develop some of the skills or the key skills that you need to be pretty good at putting. So the first one is very, very simple because all you require is 2 tee pegs. I'm sure you've all got 2 tee pegs. So you can see here that I've placed a golf ball and I've placed 2 tee pegs either side of that ball. Now those tee pegs are just wider than the putter head. The good thing with this little exercise is that you can make this task as hard or as easy as you'd like. So as you can probably imagine, you'd want to start relatively easy and then you can make it a little bit harder as you progress. And what we're really trying to do here is just focus in on hitting the center of the putter. It sounds obvious that we would like to hit the middle of the putter, but it's incredible how many golfers don't actually do that. When we start to miss the center of the putter, we will get 2 things. We'll get some twisting of the putter head. We will also get a change of how quickly that golf ball comes off the club face. Those 2 things are going to affect the direction that the ball goes in and the distance that the ball travels. 2 pretty key things that we need to be able to control. Now the putter I've got here is actually pretty good. It's very, very very, very stable. So if I do miss the middle, it tends to give pretty good results. However, we still want to try and focus in on that center. So I've actually given myself, you know, a pretty decent sized gap here, and I'm just going to practice, can I hit my putt whilst missing the T-pegs? Now, the good thing with these little exercises, these little drills, are very often you don't have to think too much about what you're doing. You can just keep doing this and you'll start to develop a better skill. You'll just start to improve at the task and you'll just get better at doing it. So there's number one, very, very easy. Number two here, this is what we call a start line drill. So let's say I've gone onto this green, I've decided this ball is a left to right putt. There's a green sloping to the right. I need to aim my ball to the left. If I've read the green and I've got the correct break, that's fantastic. But if I can't hit the golf ball on the line that I choose, I'm not going to be very, very successful. So once I've chosen the line, I will then place this little gate. And you can see this one here is from Visio. I like to use these. However, you can pretty much use, again, you could probably just use 2 T-pegs. So my goal here is, can I actually get the golf ball to start on the line that I choose? And you can see that was pretty good. So I managed to get the ball to start on the intended line. You will find probably 2 things. One, this is not that easy. And 2, you may well find that you have a tendency, so you tend to miss the gate on the right or the left. If you do have that tendency, you can maybe start to look at things like alignment. You can look at things like ball position and check some of those fundamentals that we've discussed a moment ago to help you do that. The third one is just to actually sort of monitor kind of what is our stroke like. You can see I've got this alignment stick. I use this Alignment Pro. It's just got multiple uses, so I like it for that. But what I can actually do is I can set a golf ball underneath the alignment stick, and it gives me a very good indication as to whether my putter is moving too much out, too much in, or whether it's staying pretty much on its path. So let me just hit this one. Okay, and again, it's just giving me some really good feedback as to what my putting stroke is like. With the putter, even on short putts, we should see 2 things happening in that putting stroke. We should see the putter starting to arc inwards, and we should start to see the club face rotating by some amount. We do not want to try and keep that putter working dead straight back and dead straight through. That is not how the putter works. Equally, we don't want to keep the club face pointing at the target the whole time. There will be some rotation of the club face, some opening and some closing, and some arcing inwards of the putter head, both on the backswing and the through swing. That third drill enables me to see that movement and enables me to work on that movement. So 3 pretty simple drills that I think you can do in practice. Shouldn't take you too long to set up, and hopefully things that you're going to have at hand in your golf bag. Obviously we used a gate here, but you can just use a couple of T-pegs if you don't have anything like that. We're really starting to look at the skills that you need to be a good putter. Let's go through those 4 skills. You need to be able to read the green. You need to be able to establish what the golf ball is going to do as it rolls across the putting surface, left to right, right to left, and then obviously how much that bend is going to take effect. That will be our first skill we need. Our second skill is that we need to be able to hit the middle of the putter. So we need to be able to hit the sweet spot of the putter. There's our second skill. The third skill is that we need to be able to start the ball on our intended line. And the fourth skill is that we really have to be able to control the pace that the ball is traveling at across the green. If we can start to develop those 4 skills, we can start to get good at those 4 skills, you can be a good putter. Absolutely. The great thing with putting, the fantastic thing with putting, is that you can be as good a putter as anybody in the world, because it doesn't rely on speed and power. So for many of you to hit the ball, drive the ball like Rory McIlroy, you're not physically in shape to do that. You've not got the flexibility or the strength. You might not have the flexibility or the strength to get the ball out the rough like Rory McIlroy does, but you can putt as well as him. You can putt as well as anybody in the world, because it takes touch, it takes feel, it takes imagination, and it takes skill development. These little exercises are going to help you develop that skill and hopefully improve your putting. So thank you very much for watching this first video in this 5-part series, Back to Basics. This was obviously covering the putting. We're now going to progress onto some chip shots from just around the green, and we're going to follow that theme through from bunkers to the swing and then to driving. So make sure you stay tuned for those videos. If you did like this video, click the like button down below, leave me a comment, would love to hear what you think, and you can also subscribe to the channel with the button over here. It'll just mean that you get first access to videos and you won't miss any of the new content. Massive thanks to Las Colinas Golf Course here in Spain. The course is absolutely fantastic. They've been able to give me courtesy of the course, absolutely fantastic hosts. I would absolutely recommend you coming out here. As you can see, fantastic place, great condition, well worth a visit. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for video 2. Hopefully we'll see you there.